Welcome back to round number 2 here at Guardian Games in Portland, Oregon for Modern Mondays. 2 out of 4 starting up here, and I'm Travis Cooper hanging out from Portland Paper with my friend
Jeremy James.
And we're watching kind of a classic modern matchup here. We have the tribe of humans facing down some Grixis Shadow.
I'm very excited for this matchup. I think these are two very strong decks, and I know that the humans player is pretty practiced with this deck.
Yeah, you're familiar with the humans player?
Yeah, he's been a training partner of mine in the game of Magic for a good 8 years.
And you've been on Shadow lately. I'm sure you all have played a fair amount of matchups. Do you think a certain deck is heavily favored, or is it a pretty even matchup?
I would say I'm not sure.
Okay.
We've had strings go both ways, where sometimes it seems like one is winning more than the other. We've both been varying in strategies, trying to figure these things out, and we haven't come up with the solutions yet for either side.
Okay.
So it's an exciting match for me to be able to see through somebody else's playstyle.
It looks like Zenon was the winner of the die roll there. And do we get a keeper?
I do love me Mishra's Bauble.
I think it's just a basic swap the land there, though, which is maybe the issue. You get some redraws, we have a Thoughtseize, but we're keeping it. Is there a Steam Vents hanging out there, too? Blood Crypt, there you go. So no blue mana quite yet. And we're going to have some full information
I
of
love the 8-card Thoughtseize.
So we have a champion, a Kite Self Rebooter, a Noble Hierarch, a Meddling Mage, and a Phantasmal Image. 2 lands. You into taking the champion or the Hierarch?
I haven't seen, does he have a removal spell? Like, the champion is going to have to be dealt with either with having a bigger threat yourself, or you will have a tough time holding your life total up high. I'm not sure. Manny knows enough that with his 2 interactions, he might just run out that Noble Hierarch first to keep that champion for later.
And there's going to be no later for the champion.
I think it's a lack of removals that Xena would have just a fear of getting run over.
Nothing like drawing a bauble off of a bauble.
No, baubles are great. They're better than card. You get a card and you get to look at something.
Okay, so you picked up a bauble and a Steam Vents. And you can't scry that one to the bottom. I have since gained a Horizon Canopy. Thoughtseize? Probably. I'm interested in maybe.
Yeah, I would take one of those 2.
Yeah, Meddling Mage or Freebooter. I was going to say Meddling Mage just because we don't have any removal, and Xenon's got a lot of cantrips here, so Freebooter's not going to.
I honestly would have taken the Freebooter just to keep my hand secret.
All right, we see a hand of all blue cards.
Okay, maybe not that hand.
So really looking for a land that produces some blue mana on the top here.
Right.
If we do that, we're going to be in business. And taking the Serum Vision there. Coming in for 1 with that Exalted trigger.
It's always an interesting dance. Do you damage the Shadow player? All right, we got our blue fetch coming.
Curious if you do something like Snapcaster Thoughtseize at this point, or if you cast your cantrips. I'm pretty interested in Snapcaster Thoughtseizing, as Manny had some decent cards in hand, maybe picked up another one, is going to be able to play out a lot of their hand the next turn if they have another land drop. So.
I would have agreed with you. The likelihood of hitting a threat here is not high, and having a 2-1 in play right now is not useless. Also, he's going to remove one of those threats, and we don't have any removal right now. Managed to get ourselves look like an Is It Charm. And while I wouldn't normally expect that in a list like this, I am totally in support of an instant speed Faithless Looting in this deck that can sometimes tag a Kaisel Freebooter.
Yeah, chat's curious why Zenon's playing Verdant Catacombs there. And yeah, maybe maxed out on polluted deltas and wanting to have another land that fetches for black, although at that point I think you'd max out on Bloodstain Mires too, which...
it's usually the case that they are maxed out on Bloodstain as well, and if he wanted that 9th black fetch, there we go. So we missed our opportunity with that Is It Charm.
We can still get the Thalia's Lieutenant right now.
It's a real good target.
It will grow
Yeah.
because Manny is going to play more humans.
Yeah.
I feel like Xenon might be debating whether or not to play another cantrip right now, or which mode to use. If Xenon's looking for, say, removal and a threat, maybe just a Faithless Looting side of Is It Charm might be worth it. But you know, if you cast it as a damage spell, you're for sure getting value out of it.
Right. I think this is one of the cases where we see why being able to Thoughtseize last turn would have been nice.
It looks like we're getting the loot. So, land, Stubborn Denial.
Yep, those are cards you don't want.
I think at this point I'm keeping land, maybe pitching the Stubborn Denial and a Thought Scour. And that land doesn't even go get basic island, which I'd really want to cast a Thought Scour just for mana efficiency this turn. So we're ditching a Thought Scour and playing another Verdant Catacomb.
If we look at Death Shadow's outs at this point, he's probably going to get hit for a good chunk of damage. If we can hit a Death Shadow next turn and then be able to not die, we'll be in a nice position to be able to team or Battle Rage. So there's still game here.
Push, snap, push would be good as well.
I'm not sure it's going to be enough because he still has that Phantasmal Image in his hand too. It's gonna go pretty far right now.
I wonder if Xenon is like splashing green for something in the deck, because that is the second burden that we've seen. You were mentioning Traverse the Uvenwald earlier in the last round, and I have seen in the past some Grixis Death Shadow list just splashing green for that card, and maybe some sideboard cards like Ancient Grudge or something.
That sounds intriguing.
Coming in for 6 here?
Yeah, Manfred's playing pretty confidently. I think he's feeling the lines for his loss are very thin. And he is getting paid off on that early damage. You know, when Grixis Death Shadow's at 16 and you swing in for 1 or 2, like you're making a choice deliberately there.
Wow. Just doing the Ambush Viper block side of Snapcaster.
I approve.
Block like that, take 3, 4. Yep. Just 3, right? 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah, sorry. So puts you to 3. These both die. Yep. Go to 2.
Well, you got to do what you got to do, but
That's
I'm
right.
not.
So
I don't
we can rip a
see.
Death Shadow, hit a Fatal Push off this Thought Scour. Like, you know, I think there.
Well, that's a dismember.
Still think we're gonna need a creature here.
Thought Scour myself? You got it.
And Thought Scour is gonna find. Oh,
Yeah.
an Angler.
That's one.
So I think Xenon's gonna actually be dead because
Yeah.
you're gonna have to take 2 to cast the Dismember,
Yeah.
and one of these creatures is gonna get through if Mandy goes all out.
Yeah, this game would be much different if he had just 2 more life.
I will say go after that.
Oh, maybe not much different.
So if I'm Zenon right now, I'm definitely like have a really strong game face on. Like this card's a fatal push. You don't want to come in with everything. Oh.
Oh.
I think you do it. Getting a Serum Vision back isn't nothing.
Oh, it's very valuable. Because that Dismember will need to be used eventually. That flyer was always going to be able to get in.
Correct, yeah.
I'll see on visions.
At least you get a card for your 2 life at this point. Okay, if we get a good draw and then the Serum Vision hits something strong, there's a chance. Ooh.
Nice. I love it.
Well done. Image, copying, and angler.
I just throw the. Sure, you got a 1 mana 5/5. I got a 2 mana 5/5. That's okay. That's the Inquisition of Kozilek.
Oh, is the other pickup? Anything good?
It looked like a land to me.
Ooh, that doesn't look so hot.
No,
I still cast the Inquisition right now.
absolutely.
Maybe you find out what 3 drops your opponent's on. But Manny's on 2 Aether Vials in hand.
See, I like him holding those in his hands. Like it might use up the opponent's mana to get one of those IOKs being played.
Well, that was Advanced Rider, so it was over anyway. The cards flipped for.
Grixis Death Shadow has a weakness to flyers, and Humans has some.
Yes, Humans has probably 8. It depends if you count Phantasmal Images or not.
Sometimes they're just 5/5s.
It's always really cool when they're 15/15s.
that is the best scenario.
So for Grixis Shadow, in this matchup, what are you sideboarding in, and what are you taking out?
I take out all of the Stubborn Niles, and I take out a fair bit of Street Wraiths. I still like my baubles. I like being able to fill my graveyard for free mana for my anglers, and I do like the selection that it gives me. I like feeling clever, so bauble does that. I bring in as much removal as I can. The sideboard lists vary on what kind of flavors those are, whether you have more fatal pushes or maybe a lightning bolt. All those are going to be good in this matchup. If you happen to be playing a Bantu's Last Reckoning, I would definitely be bringing that in here, but those are very rare nowadays that humans and spirits are just not around as much.
I think
some people are playing Engineered Explosives. That card's going to be pretty great.
I think I saw the Anger of the Gods as the 3 mana
That's
Wrath
exciting.
of Choice. And it looks like Zenon was debating whether or not to put in Spell Snare. Spell Snare can be very strong against humans. They have a lot of density at 2, but all it takes is a Cavern of Souls to disrupt that plan.
Or an Aether Vial.
Right, yeah, it does feel like even when I'm playing Spell Snare decks and I'm playing against humans, I usually leave them in because a lot of times the humans player is like turn 1 Aether Vial, turn 2 1-drop, cast a 2-drop. It's can be a really good card, but can be a non-card if it's turn 1 Cavern, Aether Vial, turn 2.
Right, I think that the decks that you're describing for that are not Grixis Death Shadow, where you want to be playing your mana on turn 1. You don't want to hold up a blue instant. Usually there's a Thoughtseize or a Serum Visions or an Inquisition that you would definitely want to be able to use right away. Little Last Hope and Kulligan's Command are nice. I don't think that they're slam dunks in this matchup though. Like the 1 toughness is not always going to be good enough against the thing you're trying to deal with. Like both the flyers have 2 toughness.
It's pretty good just picking Phantasmal Images.
That's always great. That's I totally agree that bringing him in, but this isn't like hitting a Stony Silence against Affinity.
And looks like the Street Race are left in, and Fatal Push is going to be on top off that Center Vision.
Right, but we saw the Street Wraith being pushed to the bottom. Well, you might not end up taking all of them out. They still are going to be usually some of the worst cards in your deck.
It does feel like a matchup where on the Shadow side of things you are more on conserving your life total instead of trying to get out that really early Shadow.
And you can turn the corner if you see that you have a Shadow or two in your hand. Like, your deck still has the options for usually dinging yourself pretty good. But this is a matchup where I'm not sad to bring my Shocklands in tapped.
Looks like we have an Anger also hanging out in Zenon's hand, so could be trying to play this game to bait out your opponent to overcommit to the board.
Or
well,
just get that eaten up real nice here.
The jig is up.
Yeah.
But I bet we're going to get a Fatal Push on this freebooter, but Manfred will get to see what is in Zenon's hand.
I would guess that this fetch happens, we let the trigger resolve, and then he takes the Fatal Push, leaving the Anger.
With this trigger on the side.
I bet I would just go ahead and push the, depending, if I didn't have a third land, I would push the freebooter right now if I was Zenon. That's the new templating where we're going to be able to just reveal the hand and nothing goes away for good.
Oh, I see.
But that's a pretty decent hand against creatures. We got the Dismember, we've got a Thought Scour, we're going to get a Gurmag Angler next turn.
It's always nice to fuel your graveyard with those Fatal Pushes as fast as you can, too.
And yeah, two of the worst cards going to the graveyard off that Thought Scour, which feels pretty good.
One of the worst cards.
Okay, we're just getting rid of that champion. Feels like maybe a Shadow is picked up since we paid life for that Dismember. And we cannot cast both of those cards.
That mana's not going well.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Worse.
So while those could have been done in an order because the Dismember could be played with the Steam Vents, they were not tapped in the order that was being displayed here. We'll see how the all right, we're getting a thumbs up from Manfred. He's going to play against optimal Death Shadow here.
It was like you weren't paying any of the Phyrexian black.
Let's give him a Spirit Award for that one.
All right, we were able to get that resolved just by changing how mana was tapped. So no one felt bad. No illegal actions ended up being taken.
Shadow is hard and I am stupid.
We're hearing a truth from the camera, at least half of it. The Shadow is very hard. This has been one of the most difficult modern decks I've learned how to play.
He beat the 2/2.
All right, do we have a Reflector Mage?
Card's very good against Angler, but it's still a pretty good spot for Death Shadow right now.
Okay, we're gonna get a Cavern on Humans. Freebooter, see what's up. Probably taking the Anger there.
Meddling Mage on Thought Scour.
Meddling Mage on Thought Scour, and a Hierarch.
I don't think it's right to call Scour.
Everyone's really
Probably just call something
playing
like
with very efficient mana.
What can you do?
They've done a lot of actions by turn 3 with both their decks.
Yeah, we get a cheat off the vial for Manny, and then just all of Xenon's cards costing 1, basically.
You have one in hand?
One in hand.
And the Death Shadow's rumbling, so either that's a very strong bluff or something like a Street Wraith was picked up.
With a 2/2.
With the 2/2.
Bold.
I'm inclined to take this bet.
I think I would block.
Yeah, the shutting up the Thought Scour is really not that big of a deal, and you having a bear.
Alright, we'll block your
Yeah.
Bluff is called.
Oh. Oh.
All right.
Good job.
I'll take 5, go to 15.
Good job, take 5.
Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, you can now.
All right. Looks like another Thought Scour is picked up off that Thought Scour. And do we want to go to 8 to cast it? Looks like the answer is no.
Draw for my turn. Play, Canopy.
Well, Horizon Canopy is a redraw for Manny.
Yeah. So this is a situation where I actually think humans is favored.
Down to 9.
They have fewer dead cards at this point. Some of the Grixis Death Shadow cards are very powerful, but
Yep.
everything that Manny has is going to be a threat.
And even the lands like Horizon Canopy are going to be able to be redraws. I
So
could
good.
see Xenon getting back into this with some 2-for-1 spell, like a Cold Against Command seems pretty good right now.
Well, I think Grixis Death Shadow has many outs. I think even just one more Gurmag Angler would probably win this.
Or a removal spell on the freebooter to be able to have that anger
Yeah.
in the back pocket.
But just the sheer numbers, I think there are more threats in Manny's deck. And again, we have a flyer problem.
All right, I'm going to start it off with Thought Scour. There
The
goes the
shadow.
shadow, there goes the Thoughtseize.
Oh, that's a good one. It looked like we got Teamer Battle Rage.
No blocks.
All right, Manny's going to drop to 10.
10 to 8.
Yeah.
So go.
Curious if the vial's going to get ticked up to 3.
Leave that on 2.
Nope.
Swing for 2.
All right, still just chipping in with the Kitesail freebooter.
If he's just got 3 lands, that's tough going. He's gonna have to block here in order to not die.
And it looks
What
like there's a
face
fatal push.
Oh dear. He could have a
So-
2-drop in hand.
Zenon's not going to be able to, or not going to be afraid of a singular block with a push on the Battle Rage combo. And you don't have to play around a Reflector Mage with the vial hanging out at 2. And coming in for 5.
Yuck. You have 2 cards.
Looks like there's a Horizon Canopy
No
on top of
blocks.
Manny's deck off that bobble.
There it is.
Oh dear.
And make
Yeah.
that 10.
Yep. That's a rough hand.
So it goes.
I was like, what is on 2 that
What does he have on
blow
2?
me out?
What is he doing here?
As far as sideboarding for humans goes, what do you think Manny brought in or took out?
I don't know.
Honestly, I can't tell you what he's gonna do today.
It's right there, but like,
I think that his main deck is good. So, like we've seen, the Reflector Mages are still in, or not the Reflector,
and you don't have
the
2
Meddling
now.
Mages
And I have a
are still
possible
in,
that has
and
no mages.
I like that card a lot.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'll be on the plan.
If he has Dismember, like I think that card is good in this matchup just because the 5/5s are such a big deal.
Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that. Also, it seems like sometimes humans players have 4-drop that hangs out in the sideboard, either Restoration Angel or I've seen Vincer, Shaper's Savant in there too, and sometimes Spellquellers as well. So I could see Vincer being a pretty spicy card to bring in. Maybe bounce something that gets a Teamer Battle Rage on it and you can't Stubborn Denial that. So.
You know.
I can't imagine Stubborn Denials are still in either
Less
though.
concerned about the
Oh, I could perhaps see a slight argument to keep one on the play, but I wouldn't keep them in.
much worse
If you didn't have enough other cards to bring in, but I don't think that is a problem.
It was land and Thought Scour. I was like, well, I need this Thought Scour to be unlocked, so.
But I mean, even if all you're doing is swinging for 70%, like,
We'll see if Manny can find one of his Thalias. That's the hardest card.
7 doesn't.
Do you know if Manny is playing 3-mana Thalia in the sideboard of the main deck at all?
He usually is not, but he occasionally does out of honor of his daughter. he's gone ahead and named her Thalia.
Oh, yeah. Good. Got the wife's permission for that one.
I'm not sure which deals were struck. I'll leave that between them.
All right, players checking out their opening 7. See a lot of lands in Xenon's hand.
There it is. I find that this card is underplayed in lots of decks too. I think that this is an effect that is so game-changing. Having all your fetch lands just not be functional is pretty intense in Modern.
Yeah, putting you back 2 turns on those. Looks like Xenon has a very land-heavy hand, but with a Faithless Looting and a Street Wraith. So
I would prefer something better than that. Like if you're going to use your mana to mulligan anyway.
Ready when you are.
Yep, it looks like Xenon decides to keep that, and starting off with the Cycling with Street Wraith, picked up Thoughtseize. Manny did not have that 1-drop, so now seems like a good time to deploy Thoughtseize, and
I get that one. Yeah, I assume. I don't care about anything else.
was that a Ariok champion? I couldn't quite
It
see.
did look like.
Seems like a very strong card in the
Yeah.
matchup.
No,
Looks like we have a Mantis Rider, an Image, and 2 Lieutenants as leftovers.
That's going to be pretty strong. If Xenon, like with his Faithless Looting start here, he could pump out a really fast Gurmag Angler. That's one of the good options of that it turns into a mulligan, but it's also a Dark Ritual.
All right, we're going to get just a little Naked Thalia's Lieutenant out here, but there's at least 1 more, and with that Phantasmal Image, possibly 2 more coming. All right, time to get to looting, I think, for Xenon.
Right, you're going to have to buy himself some time with some removal spells here. Maybe snag a 2-for-1 with this Phantasmal Image. That's going to come down later. But Manfred's hand's pretty good. Did he hit that 3rd land? Looks like he did.
We have 3rd land, yes.
I'm fairly convinced he's going to be slamming that Mantis Rider next turn, if it exists.
It's hanging out there. Yeah, Mantis Rider and then Phantasmal Image Mantis Rider.
But if he doesn't hit a removal spell or threat here, I'm pretty sure Xenon still has a discard spell.
Well, here's an Anger. And pitching a Verdant and an Island.
Beautiful island.
Yeah, we've had 2 rounds in a row of unglued lands.
Oh my god. That one.
And Thoughtseize
There
is
it
going to
is,
nab
yeah.
the Mantis Rider.
I have 19 to 9.
Yeah.
All right, we get an Ancient Ziggurat, and I'm curious if we use the Phantasmal Image or if we use the actual Lieutenant right now.
Champion of the parish.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Lieutenant's going to be the call, because Phantasmal Image is going to be able to hit no matter what, as long as one of those Lieutenants is still there later.
Yeah, but this is actually pretty great for Xenon.
It's just a...
Because if there's not a creature out, that Phantasmal Image isn't going to be able to copy anything.
Well, we have 3 counters on that
Okay, yep.
creature on the side there.
Ooh, that's true. I did not see that that had been bumped up to a 4/4.
Double bumps.
Oh boy.
It's a good spot again to be very aggressive by humans here.
Yeah, Xenon can't fetch to cast the Anger because then it's just going to die to the Thalia's Lieutenant. I'm trying to figure out a way to survive this next turn, and I'm not
Pretty sure
necessarily
this is
seeing
gonna
it.
be
Even with the looting with the Is It Charm, the most you could do is pick up a 1-mana removal spell,
Right.
and then you're still taking more than 4.
With that image sitting there hitting the other Lieutenant. Yep. Manny had a pretty consistent play pattern during these games of never hesitating and getting in all the damage he could. And in game 1 and game 3, it's really paying off.
Other than messed up with this hand.
Draw 2, discard 2.
You got it.
Well, that's not going to do it.
Maybe he's got a terminus sitting in there. Street Wraith terminus, that's a thing, right?
Could be. I would like to see that. That would be sweet.
Is it all the way?
It's a lot of them, I won't lie to you. I'll,
All
Yeah.
right, then we get the handshake. So it looks like we got about 15 minutes left, so I'm going to cruise around, see if we can find another match here, and continue with round number 2.